Welcome to the deep dive of Dvar Malchus, the Rebbe's Parsha Talks of the years 1991 and 1992, Tafshin Aleph and Tafshin Beis. My name is Hannah Margulies, and I'm so honored and grateful for this opportunity to dive into these texts together. This is part of the Geula Wives podcast. Geula Wives is all about living Geula in our marriages, revealing and tapping into and receiving the beauty, connection, peace, and joy, purpose that is possible in all of our marriages, living the marriages of our dreams and truly experiencing Geula. This specific series is focused on the Geula part of Geula Wives, as we really live with ideas of Mashiach and really live with these powerful concepts of what Geula is. In the Rebbe's words, it allows us as the Keres Habayis, as the mainstay of our home, to infuse our homes with the energy of Geula. And of course, that energy of Geula, that is the energy of Shalom Bayis, the energy of true and complete peace. So the merit of learning these talks, we should be able to have true Shalom Bayis within ourselves, our minds, and our heart, within us and our husbands, within us and our homes, and the ultimate home for God in this world. That is the true Shalom Bayis. Thank you for joining, and let's dive in.
In the exact same words that we learn in the Torah, that we are going down as a nation into exile, into the bonds of slavery, are the exact same words that tell us of our redemption. And not just of our redemption of that particular exile of Egypt, but the potential for all redemption, the ability to tap into redemption even within the midst of exile itself, and the opening for the ultimate redemption in which there is no exile that follows. How is this all possible? Shemos, B'nai Israel. And these are the names that came of the Jews that went down, of the Jewish people that came down to Egypt. So in that exact remembering of the names, we learn from the Medrash that it was through the names that we were redeemed. Right? The exact Shemos, and these are the names of the children of Israel that went down into Egypt, that went into exile. Right? Egypt represents all constrictions and all exile. As the word Mitzrayim, Egypt, literally means Mitzarim, constrictions, boundaries. We were ultimately redeemed because of our names. So this Midrash teaches that we didn't change our names. Reuven, Shimon, we kept these names. We kept our Jewish names. We stayed connected to the name as the essence. We stayed connected to who we really are. It was in the merit of the names that we ultimately were redeemed. So within that verse itself. But there's even so much more to that. There's so much more to what it means, that within that one line of going into Egypt, we learn that the secret and the power of redemption. So let's really open this up. Just to take a moment to understand how wild that is. Like within the problem itself, the solution is there. And not just the solution, but the opening to never even have a problem ever again. And even within the problem, to be within the light of the solution. So the Rabbi now opens us up to this idea of Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah was appointed to be the Nasi, the leader of the generation, the prince of the generation, right after Rabbi Gamliel. Now he was, I believe, only, 17 or 18 at the time. He was a young man. And yet he says, K'sheben Shiva Shanim, I'm like a man of 70. And so there's a story behind that of how he was appointed, came into this wisdom. But what is this idea of him saying, I'm like 70? And even more so, he mentions this idea that on the day that he became Nasi is the day that he learned something that he always wanted to learn and never knew the answer to. And that is in the remembering of the leaving of Egypt, which is our topic today. And in the remembering of leaving Egypt was a mitzvah. Every single day we have to remember leaving Egypt. But kol yamei, right? All the days of your life, you have to remember that you left Egypt. And what does it mean, kol yamei, all the days? So Ben Zoma, on the day that Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah became the Nasi, is the day that Ben Zoma taught this exact teaching. Now what does it mean, the day? It means the day and the nights. Because if it just said the days, so it would mean, okay, the days. But the fact that it says kol yamei, all the days, it means both the days and the nights. So that's why we say in Shema, we recall the leaving of Egypt both in the morning, in the day, and also by night, before bed. And so we do this in the day and the night, but it doesn't just mean the day and the nights. It means kol, all, which means also in Yemos Mashiach, also in the times of Mashiach, we're still going to be remembering the leaving of Egypt. And what does it mean, the nights? It means also in the moments that we're not in revealed Geula, the moments that we feel like we're in Galus, or we are in Galus, we are in exile and darkness and night, that we have to remember the going out of Egypt. And from this capacity of always remembering going out of Egypt, even in the darkness, even in the night, we have this ability to transcend and go beyond the night and make it like day. So, or also just not to be afraid of the night, to tap into the Geula that is there. So what is this idea of day? Day is a time of Havaya. It's a day of godliness. It's a time of revelation. And what is darkness? It's a time of constriction. It's a time that feels very much like Egypt, like exile. And let's go into why Reb Eliezer ben Azariah saw himself as Keben Shanim Shivi, that he was like as a man of 70. Well, what is 70? First of all, 70 is 7 times 10. And what is 7? It is the 7 emotional attributes, which is all the inner work a person could do in this life to refine their emotions, to bring their emotions to a godly space, with the inclusion of all 10 spheros. So meaning the Chachma of their chesed, the Bina of their chesed, full inter-inclusion, full aspects of every angle and dimension of each emotion, being to a place that brought that to godliness. So he was this person who knew how to connect with Hashem from every angle of his being. And let's break down his name a little bit more. So the name Eliezer, right, has this idea of Aleph, right? Eliezer starts with an Aleph. And then Azar, which is help. So Hashem is the Aleph, is my help. Hashem's my helper. And then his last name is Azariah, which is Azar Hashem, which is that we are Hashem's helper. We help the Hay, which is Hashem. So what does this mean? Is that how do we help Hashem? How do we, go from this place of not just that Hashem's our help, but that we are Hashem's help, by uniting heavens and earth, by uniting the Yud K and the Vav K, through doing our work of bringing the light of godliness, to remember leaving Egypt, even in the moments that feel like Egypt, even in the moments of darkness, to be able to help another Jew in that place and to bring godly light into that place. We become Hashem's help, right? We know that someone who davens with a mitzvah and davens with a minyan and does Torah mitzvahs and is involved in this holy work is called the one who saves Hashem, because what are we doing? We're bringing us as a people out of exile into Geula. And so we have this capacity to actually be a help to Hashem. So this was the Nasi of this time, right? Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah was the prince. The Rebbe says we learn from this what all the Nasiim, all the princes of the Jewish people, all the Rebbeim, what are they doing effectively? And really what they are is they are being a help to Hashem. They're empowering every single Jew to be Hashem's help, to bring this salvation, because Mashiach is not just for the Jewish people, it's just as much for Hashem. Hashem puts himself with us in the darkness, right? We have the burning bush this week, just adding this in, right? Hashem's Anochi B'tzar, Hashem's with us in the Galus. And as we redeem ourselves from this Galus and redeem each other, what happens is we're also being Ezer Hashem, Zaria. We're also being this idea of helping Hashem out of the exile, which is such a tremendously powerful idea. And so this week, as we're going into exile, what we need to know is that that moment of going to exile was actually opening the capacity to go beyond all exile, to go to a place of the third Beis Hamikdash. And the Rebbe always emphasizes it's the third Beis Hamikdash HaNitzchi, for which there is no galus afterwards. I always just kind of find that funny, because it's of course that's what third Beis Hamikdash is, but we've had all this trauma of redemption and then more exile, redemption and more exile. And the Rebbe's no, this is it. We're actually going into a space of total goodness. And the only reason that we ever had exile was to have a capacity for redemption. That is the only reason, the Shemos, the only reason that these holy Jews are going into this place of darkness is to reach a place of where the revelation has immersed itself in the darkness, to the point that the darkness shines, to the point that there is no more capacity for concealment, because we've brought the revelation of godliness into everything. And so we are very much connected to the Geula, not just when we leave Egypt in a few parshas from now, but in this very moment of Shemos, we are completely in this. And this week is also the week of the Rambam's Yahrzeit, which is Chaf Teves, the 20th of Teves. And the Rebbe connects this idea that by being part of this mitzvah, or this partnership of this learning the Rambam. So there's 3 different tracks of learning Rambam. There's learning 3 chapters a day. There's learning 1 chapter a day. And there's also learning Sefer HaMitzvahs, which is like one mitzvah or so a day. So you learn about all the mitzvahs within 1 year. And whichever track a person is able to do, but being involved in this parsha and being involved in the daily mitzvahs is such an awesomeness that the Rebbe says from this we should be able to merit that we actually greet our righteous Mashiach, that we are able to like just be completely encompassed in this new reality of Geula. And so this is coming up this very week. And so it is a time to renew our connection and our place within the Torah, within the Rambam, and being able to learn Kol Torah Kulo through learning the Rambam. And of course, the Rebbe ties us back to Mashiach, which is our topic. And what is that? Is that the Rambam also talks about all the mitzvahs. So he also talks about the mitzvahs in the times of Mashiach, and how, first of all, there's many mitzvahs we can't do until we have a Beis Hamikdash, like Karbanos, so many different things we can't do until the Beis Hamikdash. So by learning the different mitzvahs, we should merit to be able to fulfill all the mitzvahs. And also, the Rambam talks practically about what is going to happen in the times of Mashiach and who is fitting to be Mashiach, right? He has to come from the house of David. He has to strengthen Torah and mitzvahs for every Jew, like bringing every Jew into the capacity of Torah and mitzvahs, know Aleph, teach Aleph, to make it accessible, right? The Chabad houses, that every Jew is, involved in the Parsha. Someone just told me this week, actually, a really sweet story, that they got this Rebbe letter to help the Jews in France. And they were like, interesting. And they ended up in France, and they ended up helping a cousin to be able to get connected to the Chabad, and for their child to have, their bar bas mitzvah there and enter into mitzvahs. And then now they just messaged them like, oh, we're sponsoring the Kiddush this week in Paris. And they were so proud of themselves and so happy and like so delighted to be in the mitzvahs. And that's the truth of every Jew. Every Jew wants to be invited into the Parsha. And that, that might look like different for every Jew, but the idea that every Jew is essentially connected to the Torah mitzvahs. And so that's part of Mashiach's job, is to strengthen every Jew in Torah mitzvahs, strengthen the Jewish people, and empower, the Jews to strengthen each other. And of course, to fight the wars of Hashem, right? It's also just awesome, like literally fighting the wars of Hashem. And the Rambam explains there, what's Cheskas Mashiach, what's, someone who could be presumed Mashiach, potential Mashiach, and also what's Mashiach Vadai, like absolute Mashiach. And so the Rebbe is saying, through learning about the Rambam and learning about, Mashiach, we should merit to greet our righteous Redeemer and to reach this time. As the Rambam concludes, the concluding words of the Rambam, the earth will be filled with the knowledge of Hashem as the waters cover the ocean in Yeshaya. That we're going to this place of absolute knowledge of godliness. So we should be able to live with Mashiach, the Shabbos, and bring that Mashiach consciousness into the world through our learning of Torah and celebrating here and now. Thank you.
To learn more about how Geula Wives can be part of your life and support you to live the marriage of your dreams, visit GeulaWives.org, consider joining the Geula Wives Circle for full support, or step into the light of breakthrough coaching. Looking forward to you experiencing your personal Geula and spreading that light to the entire world.